Creation of Iya Elepo App Part 4. In the last lesson, we learned how to do the following. Ensure that the sales date is not in the future. We wrote custom C# code to perform this validation.
Okay.
We also learned how to ensure that product supply date is not in the future.
Okay.
We wrote custom C# code to perform this validation. Points 1 and 2 above are examples of what is called business rules. Today, we shall be learning how to do the following. One, extend Aspnet Users Table without using migrations. So that's what we shall be learning today.
Okay.
So in order for us to do that, we open SQL Server. We will select Run as administrator. After right clicking on it, we click Yes, user account control. So now we are going to connect. So I'm using SQL Server authentication.
Okay.
So we've connected. So now, let's expand tables. Let's expand the Aspnet Users Table. We'll go to Design. We'll right click and go to Design. And I'm going to manually hatch the following columns. First name, end back at 50. Not compulsory, as you can see. Middle name. End back at 50. Not compulsory. Surname. End back at 50. Let's have a customer ID. The data type is bigget. Let's have a supplier ID. Also, the data type is bigget. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now, let's have the data type of let's have gender ID. That type will be it, not no. Sorry, not allow no. So we save. Now let's create another table. Right click new table. We have gender ID. Whose data type is it? Are you following?
Yes, sir.
And then we have gender name. Whose data type is Baka 50. both of them are compulsory. Gender ID is primary key, and gender ID at the same time is identity. That is sequential integers being inserted to that column by default.
Okay.
So now let's right click and save as genders. Okay. Now let's go to RAGZI.
Okay.
So we right click on RAGZI, and then we select run as administrator. In user account control, once again we click yes. So this is Iya Elepo App. Let's double click on it. Okay, after closing the congratulations dialog, we'll go to data. We'll double click on my data sources. We'll click on the fast. Oh, sorry. Let's do cancel. So we'll double click on it. This time around, make sure to include the Aspnet tables. So in fast schema. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now expand entities. So include all the Aspnet tables. In fact, include genders as well. So all tables now included. Because the Aspnet tables were not there before. So let's click finish. Now let's run the app. So this is how to run it. So let me log in as admin and admin. Let me pretend for a moment as if I want to create new user. So if I click on create new user, here is where it goes. And I can actually click on add. So it will give me this dialog, email, roles, password, and confirm password, isn't it?
Yes.
That's add application user. Okay, let's log out. Now we are going to open the solution in Visual Studio Code. So I will start in Visual Studio 2022 rather. So I'll minimize. I right click on Visual Studio 2022. I will select run as administrator. Continue with it. This is Iya Elepo App. Let's open it. Kind of clicking on it. So, this one is still loading. So in this Windows dialog, I'm going to select do not load this project. Then I'll click continue. I'll select do not load this project. Then I'll click continue. So we'll go to Solution Explorer. Let's open add application user.designer.cs. How do we do that? We'll expand this. That's Then we expand the C# code file under it. Then we double click on add application user.result. Now, what we are interested in is we want to look at the form submit event. This is the form submit event. It's await security.create user. Let's go to the definition and see. I'll say go to implementation. So this is the implementation. Okay. Rows is actually, so we are going to call this method from another place. Now this is what we'll do. When we are adding a new customer, we are going to do two things. We are going to set. So let's look at the form event for this add customer. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Form submit event. This is the form submit event. We'll copy it. Are you following?
Okay.
Then we'll go to add customer.result.cs.
Okay.
We'll paste the stuff that we have copied. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
And then you can change the method access level to private. The name of the new method will be add new customer async. Add new customer what? Async. Okay. Now this one, the data type of this one will become Iya Elepo App .models .condata .customer. Are you following? Is equal to, let's create a custom method called create customer async. Now this method, new method, will not take any parameter. Are you following? Then also, instead of closing the dialog, let's just redirect to the page and force load. So we say URI helper dot navigate to where? The list page, and force load will be true. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So what's the name of the list page? Let's check. Customers. So we tell it to navigate to small customers. As for the exception, you can change the error message if you so wish. Let me change the error message to data create customer exception dot message, and the duration for the display of the dialog should be 7 seconds. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now, this method only exists in our mind.
Okay.
We will not generate method stop for it.
Okay.
We go here, we'll say generate method data service or create customer async.
Okay.
It has generated the method. You can see there is no red line under this again. That's because the method has been generated.
Okay.
Now go to the definition. The definition is inside data service.cs.
Okay.
And anytime, if we leave it here, next time when we run Radzin will overwrite this method called create customer async.
Okay.
So we do not want Radzin to do that.
Okay.
So what we will do is we'll go to services folder. We will expand it. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
And see whether this file has a custom service file. No, it doesn't. So we'll right click on this file, or instead of right clicking on it, okay, this line 2746, isn't it? So this is the name of the class. Let's copy it.
Okay.
Now go back to services folder, right click. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Then you say add class.
Okay.
Dot custom.cs. So now let's make this class partial. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now let's head back to data service.cs. Let's copy all the users at the top.
Okay.
Let's bring them here. There is no using here now. So press enter by the left of the namespace name. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Then another issue is the namespace is Iya Elepo App here.
Okay.
So you come here, change this to Iya Elepo App.
Okay.
You remove the services. So this class is a continuation of the first one.
Okay.
Now what we'll do now is we'll go back to the first class, which is conductor.service.cs. We'll go to line 2746. Just double click on line.
Okay.
2746. You click OK. Now copy this method stop. Cut it rather.
Okay.
Now go back to the customs class for the service. Paste it. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Change the access modifier to public and put the async keyword there. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So var customer is equal to new customer. Then I can bring this namespace here using Gosh. So using Iya Elepo App dot models dot con data. So we have that customer. So var new customer. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Is equal to new customer. Return. Await. Tax dot from result. New customer. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now try. Catch exception EX. And this side they just true. So var new customer result is equal to await create customer. Now if new customer result is not null, that is, the object really exists. That's what we mean. Now if again new customer result dot customer ID sorry, I forgot to pass in the customer that we create here. So are you following?
Yes, sir.
So if new customer result dot customer ID is greater than 0, the implication of that is that the source customer has been successfully created. So this implies successful customer creation. So if it is successful, what do we do? var create user result. And this has to do with security. Is equal to await okay. Okay, what we are going to do is, I'm saying we are going to run into some challenges here.
Okay.
So let me move this method. Let me move it to okay, we already have add customer async, so we don't need that method again.
About this formula we just finished.
We don't need it again. So let's just use create customer result as it is.
Okay.
So, but let me paste it here. Okay, wait, that will not work. So here we create a new customer. So I will say if con data create customer result is not equal to null. And if con data.create customer result dot customer ID is greater than 0. So is successful customer creation. The reason is because the primary key, if you notice the way we do it, they are always greater than 0. They are all positive numbers. Have you observed that?
Yes,
So greater than 0 is how you test for positivity
okay.
in mathematics. Once you any value is greater than 0, automatically it's positive. So now we will now say var create user result. Is equal to await security dot create user. New models dot application user. Are you following? You now populate the object of the new object properties. Now you need the following. You need the username. Let's look at add application service again. Let's see what they actually passed. Let's say go to definition. So user.username is equal to user.email. Okay, let's populate the properties. Username will be equal to customer. Are you following?
Yes,
Dot email. Dot what? Email. Email will also be equal to will also be equal to customer.email. Are you following?
yes.
So we have password will be password underscore 1. Confirm password will be password underscore 1.
Okay.
Are you following?
Yes.
We need to add the rows.
Okay.
So string array rows is equal to customer. Are you following? So just one element is there. Are you following? In this array. Are you following?
Yes.
So now we'll now say sorry, I need to refactor this place.
Okay.
Okay, I don't need to refactor it. It's this way, isn't it? Now, okay, yeah, I need to refactor it. There is a reason. I want to bring out this. Are you following? So I do a Control X. Are you following? So let's call this var new user. So what I actually did this way is that one, I put a semicolon here. Then I can now say new user dot role names is equal to new list of string. And any other object that is of type list is also of type enumerable. So now I will now say new user dot role names dot add, or is it dot append rather? Dot append rows. Dot append. Okay, what I need to do is to append a string element. So if I'm going to append a string element, I might not need this again. Are you following? So it will just append this string called customer. It's a row. So doing it that way to contain one element. Now here we will now create new user result. So we'll pass in new user. Are you following? Now if not string dot is null or empty, create user result dot id. Let's copy this notification service. So this one will be notification message. Severity will be security, notification severity dot sources. Successful. And somebody called me. My mind is telling me. Mohamed down. So successful customer creation. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Let's just repeat the same thing as message. So detail will still be the same thing. This one is 7. Otherwise, let me copy this catch. Paste it and turn it to else. Else. I don't need this. Let me okay. Detail here will be user creation error. So customer creation error. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Then there is another if at the top that needs an else too. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
This if that ends here need an else, and it's still the same else that it needs. Okay?
Okay.
Now, one more thing. When it is successful, that's when it should redirect to customers list page.
Okay.
If it is not successful, then it will stay on the page.
Okay.
Now we need to look up this method. Add new customer async. How do we hook it up? We copy. Let's say add customer, even here. This add customer, you can see I've double click on it here. That's it. I'll now go to the outline of the page. I'll select the form object. I'll go to events.
Okay.
Now I'm going to replace the using generated submit event with mine. I'll say execute C#. I'll wait. We'll paste the method name, which in this case is add new customer async. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now it's time for us to run this project. First, I'll go to debug. I'll say, okay, delete all breakpoints have been deleted. So let me put the breakpoint here. Are you following? Now let's run our app this way. I will select this profile, Iya Elepo App. Then I'll click play.
Okay.
You will soon see why we are using breakpoint. It is well. So admin. Let's click login.
Okay.
So let's add a new customer. Let's say John Thomas.
Okay.
Individual. J. Thomas at nigmall.com.
Okay. That's address.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking it's the email. Okay, validation is working, isn't it? Address 40 Alafia Street, Ijibo. Phone number plus this. Contact person Mr. Tunde George. So now let's click save. So when we hit the save button, the breakpoint is actually it here for the add new customer. So let's go to F10. F10. So customer is successfully created here. You can actually examine the object to see. Are you following? So this is the new customer that was created. So let's see. Customer ID is actually greater than 0. We create a new customer object. Now we check if user is successfully created. This so F10 to go through. So I click continue now. So you see this message. Okay, sorry, it actually came to this page. If you want to know whether a new user was actually created, go to users. So J. Thomas was actually created. But sorry, there is one thing I forgot to do. We'll do that in the next lesson. Okay, let's continue. I don't want to be lazy about that. Now what we are going to do is, we have customer name. That's checking the database. That's for the table that we extended. We have first name, middle name, surname, customer ID, and supplier ID and gender ID. So let's right click on tables here and click refresh. I have male, I have female. Are you following?
Yes.
Now here, what I just want to add is the gender ID. The customer has no business with supplier ID. So now what I'm going to do here is, I'll go to outline. Are you following? I'll right click on the row for contact person. I'll duplicate it. Are you following?
Yes.
I'll change this label to gender. Are you following?
Yes.
Then I'll go to the text box. I'll delete the text box. So I'll go to toolbox. I'll look for a drop down list or a drop down. I'll just drop it. I can call it gender. Or GTL gender. That's short form for drop down is gender. Now the style. The width is 100%. Are you following?
Yes.
Now I'll now go to properties. I'll now go to data, new. Get genders. Now I'm going to display to the user gender name while we submit gender ID to the database. Now, when we included the Aspnet tables, one of the model classes that was generated in Condata is this class, Aspnet user. So what I will do is, I think I can just go to Radzen. Go to page. Go to events. Add another event. Call it set property. It's set property. So, and the property will be gender ID. We'll set it to an initial value of 0. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Now we come to this drop down. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
We'll bind the value property to that new property we just created, which is gender ID. We click OK. Are you following? Now the next thing we'll do is let's go back to add customer.cs. This is where we actually successfully created new customer. Let's update some properties. String array. Customer names is equal to customer dot customer name dot split. This split function requires a parameter. What you want to use to split. So I'm using empty space to split. Now the Aspnet. Okay, the existing user is equal to await Condata dot get Aspnet user by ID, and is the create user result ID that you will pass as parameter there. So create user result dot ID. Now if existing user, are you following?
Okay.
Is not equal to null. If existing user is not null, and if not string dot is null or empty, existing user dot id. We are now going to set a property for the existing user. We are now going to say existing user dot gender id equals the gender id property that we created earlier. Then the last thing you are now going to do is to update var update result equal to await condata dot update Aspnet user. We need the ID, so the ID is create user result dot id, because that serves as the primary key. I'll select the record to be updated. Okay. And then you need the object that you want to update again, and the object you want to update is existing user. Let's put one semicolon there. Let's run again. So else, there should be another else there, and the else is nothing but that there is error in user creation. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So let's run it again.
Okay.
We run Iya Elepo App. That's when you will understand better.
Okay.
So admin, oh, we forgot something.
Okay.
Let's click cancel. What we forgot? Let's stop there.
Okay.
This is what we forgot. You know, we split here.
Okay.
Now, using space.
Okay.
Now, if customer names dot length equals to 1, that means we have only first name.
Okay.
So what will happen is we are going to say existing user dot
Okay.
first name. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's do it this way. If existing user dot length is greater than 0, existing user dot, sorry, if customer names dot length is greater than 0, existing user dot first name equals customer names 0, which is the first element in the array.
Okay.
Array are 0 based. First element has an index of 1. Second element has an index of 2.
Yes, sir.
We are now going to do an else if here. Else if customer length names.length is greater than 0. And customer names dot length is less than 3. That means the max value is 2.
Okay.
Isn't it? You are still going to set, that means you can only set first name and last name. Since the array has 2 elements, the first element of the array will be used to assign first name. Are you following? The second element of the array will be used to assign. Then you are going to say else. If customer names dot length. Sorry, this one will be customer names 1, which is the second element.
Okay.
I'm seeing something here. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay. So this one will be 1. Are you following?
Yes.
Else, if customer names dot length is greater than 2, that means there are at least 3 elements.
Okay.
When something is greater than 2 and is integer, that means the minimum number it will have is 3.
Okay.
Do you get it now?
Yes.
You understand my reasoning? So that means we can set middle name property here too. Are you following?
Yes.
So middle name property will be second element of the array. While surname property will become third element of the array.
Okay.
Good. It is time to run. So add. Ibrahim so individual. But it's here very close. ibso@gmail.com. Phone number. Contact person, Mr. Benjamin Week. Gender is male. So let's click save. The breakpoint has been hit. Let's just go through it. We've tested all these lines before. So let's just step through them and assume that they work fine like before. So this thing splits the customer name into 2 strings. The empty space, you know, when you use the empty space to separate the Ibrahim space, so you have the first element to be Ibrahim.
Okay.
Second element of the string array to be so.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So it has gotten the existing Aspnet user object. Are you following?
Yes.
You can see. Are you following?
Yes.
So F10 is setting the gender ID. So if the length is greater than 0, oh, there is something wrong with our logic here. The logic should be if and customer name dot length less than 2. Less than what? Less than 2 means is only one that is there. Are you following? So let's run it again. Now you can see one of the benefits of stepping through your code. So admin. So let's add JJ Okocha. JJ Okocha. Customer. Individual. Fatia Lafia Street. Email. J. Okocha@nig.com. Phone number. Blah blah. Contact person, Mr. Tunde George. Gender, male. Save. Once again, we hit the breakpoint. F10 to step through. Are you following? We create new user. The customer names dot length is greater than 2. You can see what you gave to first name. J. Middle name is what? J. And surname will be what? What do you think it will be? It will be Okocha because there are 3. You can see it's Okocha. So let's click continue. So you go to customer. Now, it's been created, Abby. Now, to see whether it was actually done, let's open the Aspnet Users Table. Let's right click on it and say select top 1000 rows. Now, let's examine the row for JJ Okocha in our database. This is the row. Are you following? Security stamp is the email. You can see it has updated the first name and the customer ID was actually not generated. We need to do that as well and find out why. So why was that? Why customer ID? Okay, we created gender ID. Okay, the reason why customer ID was not created, was not done is we need to come here. Are you following? After the if else whatever, we need to come here and say existing user dot customer ID, which is long, will be equals to convert. Okay, it is null. It's allowed null. Okay, will be equal to customer. Are you following?
Yes.
Dot customer ID. Is it customer dot customer ID? We need to get the result of, okay, create user result. So it will be create user result dot customer ID. Are you following? It will be equal to create User result dot what?
Customer ID. But customer ID.
Okay. Sorry, did I say create user result? Create user result.
With ID.
No, condata. It's going to be condata create customer result. Condata create customer result dot customer ID. Let's run it again.
Okay.
So you have admin. You have admin. Login. Add customer. Asset welcome. Customer type, individual address, email, awenga@football.com. Phone number, contact person, Thierry Holly. So gender. So we step through again to see if everything is in order. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
So it's going to set first name to be Aspnet and surname to be Weka. And it's setting customer ID to be 6.
Okay.
So let's click continue. So it goes back to the customers list. Here we have as a Weka record as the 6th record. And when we execute this table, secret server, we see a new row for as a Wenga. This time around, the first name and the surname and the customer ID is set. Thank you for watching.